Spartans are up there with some of the most powerful warriors in the Halo universe, but they are by no means invulnerable. Between the 3 generations of Spartans that have been created, the Spartan 2s, Spartan 3s and Spartan 4s, there was potential for there to be thousands of Spartans on the battlefield. However, after the prolonged war with the Covenant, the war with the Created, and now the war with the Banished, there are precious few Spartans actually left in active duty, which goes to show how devastating these wars have been to human culture, and highlights the astronomically long odds that the Spartans went up against on a day-to-day basis, and yet they still fought, they still won, but also they still died. It is very difficult to kill a Spartan. They do not go down easily. But there is a specific manner, a strategy, that works to kill Spartans more often than any other. So today, we're going to find out how to kill a Spartan. Roll the intro. There were meant to be thousands of Spartans. This was said as much to Kurt-051, the ultimate de facto leader of the Spartan 3s, that over several companies of Spartan 3s there would be thousands of Spartans on the battlefield. And this was even before the Spartan 4 program came into effect and made being a super soldier that more accessible for the normal rank and file. There were even supposed to be more Spartan 2s. However, the Spartan 2s, whom were originally costed out to have 300 Spartans, was cut in half due to budget constraints to 150, then cut in half again to 75, and only half of those survived the augmentations. There was supposed to be a second class of Spartan 2s, but that ultimately didn't come to pass. The Spartan 3 program saw at least 3 companies seeing active duty, all 3 companies 300 strong. And even then there was suggestion to a 4th company whom were about to be trained before Onyx ultimately fell. They may have been redirected. And although we don't have specific numbers, it is suggested at least that the Spartan 4 program numbers anywhere between 1,500 and around 5,000 Spartans. Yet in spite of all of these immense numbers and in spite of how powerful the Spartans are, very few of them are actually left. And whilst many of the deaths that we've seen can be explained away and understood contextually why they died, there is a very specific strategy that seems to work better than most at killing Spartans. Many of the Spartan 2s sacrificed themselves to astronomically long odds to give their team members the opportunity to retreat or to get away from a mission in order to fight another day. Sam 034 was just one such individual whom stayed upon a Covenant ship in order to ensure that the nukes they had planted there detonated without incident, mainly due to the fact that his suit had been breached and thus couldn't survive the travel through the void of space thereafter. During the fall of Reach, many Spartan 2s who were being deployed to the surface of Reach for generator protection for the orbital defense platforms had to perform an impromptu halo jump, high altitude, low opening. Although the low opening part isn't necessarily applicable because they didn't have parachutes. Many of them hit the floor at terminal velocity. Many of them died. Many more of them were injured. This was caused by a circumstance outside of their control. Almost all of the Spartans of Alpha Company and all of the Spartans of Beta Company of the Spartan 3s died during their suicide mission, going after extremely high profile targets and basically trading their lives for time. You can thank Ackerson for that. And more recently, many of the Spartan 4s that were training aboard Laconia Station were killed when the station's AI, Leonidas, destroyed the station in support of Cortana and the Created. Again, a circumstance outside of their control. But barring these deaths en masse, or deaths as a consequence of sacrifice, or deaths outside of direct control, what other method works successfully at killing Spartans? During Operation First Strike, several Spartans made their way aboard the Covenant refueling station Unyielding Hierophant. They stealthed their way through the station to try to find the core reactors of the Unyielding Hierophant to overload them and ultimately cause its entire destruction. It's during this operation that Blue Team were ambushed by brutes leading to the death of Grace as well as Master Chief himself being nearly choked out and killed when Spartan Blue Team, bolstered by Kurt 051, attacked an insurrectionist base on an outer colony. The 4 Spartans of Blue Team were ambushed and caught unaware by the innovative use of anti-gravity plates to fool their armour into thinking they were in a much higher gravity environment and overpressurising the hydrostatic gel, causing them to lose consciousness. It was only due to Kurt 051 having a quote-unquote feeling about the situation and preempting that an ambush was on the way, alongside the fact that the insurrectionists weren't expecting a 5-man team, that the ambush was foiled and Kurt was able to release the other members of Blue Team. On the planet of Heian, a brute ambushed and killed Spartan Cal 141, but was ultimately taken down by the ODSTs backing her up. On Installation 07, Spartan Benita Stone was ambushed and killed by the elite Blade Master Jaeger Undomnai. Jaeger would go on to ambush Spartans Theodore Sorel and Vedrana Makovic. Spartan Sorel was severely wounded and Makovic insisted that they run ahead to locate the monitor of the ring. Makovic ultimately died in the ensuing conflict, with Sorel being ambushed and attacked by Juralhani brothers Tavares and Hyperius. The 3 Spartans of Red Team were ambushed, attacked and ultimately entirely bodied by Atriox on the Ark, with Atriox nearly choking Alice to death, knocking Jerome free and ultimately destroying Douglas's shoulder, before finally striking him with his gravity mace, sending the half-ton Spartan tumbling through the air. Even in 2560, aboard the UNSC Infinity, Atriox ambushed the Master Chief from behind and surgically defeated the greatest Spartan before ultimately tossing him into the void. These are just the examples that we're ultimately fully aware of, and there may well be countless other incidents of ambushes working to defeat Spartans. But this itself highlights a significant issue. The Spartans are supposed to be humanity's greatest warriors, yet if there's a pattern emerging in that they can be defeated by the clever implementation of an ambush, there is a flaw in the way in which all of the Spartans are trained. Don't get me wrong, the very concept behind an ambush is to stage an attack that is entirely unexpected to catch your enemy unaware, but Spartans are supposed to be the commensurate warriors. They are supposed to be fully aware of what's going on the battlefield, particularly when they're up-armoured, so to speak, with artificial intelligence that can assess very subtle information from the battlefield to inform what's going on. Their enhanced senses and the equipment that they have at their disposal should allow them to preempt to some degree most of these ambushes, and yet they are seemingly not being able to do it. So then the question has to be asked: are the Spartans being ambushed, attacked and being defeated time and time again simply because it is an ambush? Or is there a flaw in the manner in which they are trained, or a fault with the technology that they're relying upon? At this stage, it's anybody's guess. But the conclusion that we can draw from the pattern that's emerging, the best way to defeat a Spartan super soldier is to ambush them. For one reason or another, it seems to be working. It has been implemented quite a few times now, particularly by the brutes, to defeat the Spartans, whom are faster, more agile, and equally as powerful. So really the true threat to a Spartan comes not necessarily from just being ambushed, but by being ambushed with might as ferocious as the Spartans themselves possess. Long gone are the days that the brutes are just mindless apes and bullet sponges. For as long as the brutes are led by an intellect as powerful and as disciplined as the likes of Atriox, the Spartans' time as the most superior warriors in the galaxy may finally be at an end. And until next time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider smashing the like button and leave a comment below on what you'd like me to cover next. Big shout out to my patrons: Spartan 10148, the Metarch of my installation, Falcon, Prophet Bear, Mikhail, Sophia, and Ashley, my dutiful monitors, Darian, Scarab, Spartan 0137, Anthony, Ghost, Aaron, Chris, Jacob, Sean, Element Zero, Somatic, Jordan J3, Dan, Mr. Keys, Directal, Gunslinger, Jacob, Bandmill, Echo, Evermore, Officer Cat, and Personal Devil, my diligent sub-monitors, my fleet of Strato Sentinels, and my loyal enforcers. And all the other patrons who have jumped aboard to support the channel. It means more to me than I can accurately put into words. Another shout out to my Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members, Spartan137, Jacob, Schmitty, Talia, Fenrir and Born Stellar, and all the other YouTube members keeping my installation running on that glorious vacuum energy. Shout out to John for I don't fucking know. And if you want more of this kind of content, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you don't miss any future videos, and consider jumping aboard yourself as a patron or YouTube member to keep the channel alive and kicking. Thanks again for watching, take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.